Let's take a look at how we can use Anthropic Claude to create a Python Pulsar function, and then we will use the StreamNative MCP server to deploy the Python function as well as test it. So here I am inside of Anthropic Claude. Let's first create a new tenant and namespace where we're going to be using or deploying the function and where we're going to use our topics or have our topics there. So please create a new tenant called function tenant and namespace called function namespace. So first of all, it's going to find the correct server that we have in our StreamNative org. There it just created our new tenant for us, and here it's created our new namespace for us. And now I'm going to ask it to please create a Python Pulsar function. And I like a Python Pulsar function because it doesn't need to compile it. And in this case, it's going to be a very simple one that takes a message input from a topic, doubles the value of the integer, and outputs the result to another topic. So let's see what it does here for us. So I'll help you create a Python Pulsar function. So first they're going to write the code, then they'll create the input and output topics and deploy the function. So I have also given Anthropic Claude access to folders on my computer. So you can see here it's doing write file list allowed directories because when we do the function create, so here it's creating the two topics, but when we do the function create, it's going to reference a file path here to the Python function that it created for us. So now it's deploying that function and it's checking the status. See, there's an error, so it's going to correct the Python code for us. And it's going to try again. So if it doesn't get it right the first time, it's going to try a couple different ways to write the function. So it already wrote a message to the input topic, and now it's checking if it processed the message, doubled the value, and wrote it to the output topic. So now it probably didn't consume anything. So it decided to check the status. The status says running, and it went ahead and wrote another message to the output topic. And if we can see here, it decided it wanted to write a value of 42 to the input topic, and it says it got back a value of 84. Let's see where it says that again. So here's produce. Check the function. Good news. No, right. Oh, there's the produce of 42, and the consume. It says we can see that we sent a message to value 42, produce double the value 84 to the output topic. I'd like to manually test this as well. So let's say what is the input topic to the function we just created. Okay, so it was called input topic. Let's publish a message with a value of, we'll say 23 to that topic. Okay, so it just sent that message over, and then let's say what is the output topic of our function. Okay, let's consume, let's create a new consumer with a new subscription on this output topic and display to me all messages from that topic. So hopefully it will create a subscription with an initial position of earliest. Here it just did number of messages 10, but that should be fine. So what I'd like to do is see that the value of that original message that we sent doubled, as well as doubling of the one we just sent here manually as well. So we've got 2 here. Actually, it must have sent more. So it's got the 84 here, doubling the 42. I guess it sent 100. If we go back and look at the history, maybe it sent 100. Then I manually sent it to 23, and then it did it to 46. So it looks like the function is working correctly. Next, we can finally delete this tenant. So which tenant did we use to deploy the function? So it was called function tenant. So let's delete function tenant. And if any of you have manually tried to delete tenants before, you know that you have to clean up the resources first. So in this case, well, normally you'd have to delete the topics and then the namespace, but here it actually is smart enough to know we have to delete the function as well. So here it says, let's delete the function. Now let's delete the topics. Now let's delete the namespace and the tenant. Looks like we were able to delete everything. And in that order, so we had to do the function before the topics, the namespace, the tenant. So it looks like we're all cleaned up from this test.